people that are being assessed, this happens to them for the very first time, they may not benefit as much because, as I said, a teacher, when our teacher went over the assessments and she explained to us what it really means and how to take the test and how you can learn about your strengths and limits. Well, I don't think companies are going to explain to you all those details and how much more self-aware you will be by taking this test, and if you're not, how to improve and how to focus on your strengths and how to improve on your limitations, which are revealed by the test. So this would be one major disadvantage because, yes, although companies and human resources, when they will administer the assessment, the personality assessment or the personality test, they will be just trying to evaluate and see, okay, what is this individual like? What are his or her strengths and limits, and how can I use that for the benefit of the company? And like you said, and not so much for his or her benefit, right? So my point here is that we as a class, okay, we're not dealing with a company now, at least not at this point. But right now we're trying to benefit from it. We're trying to learn, you know, in the best possible way, how we can administer those tests, the purpose, their purpose, and what is the benefit of being honest when you take the test, what you can learn from, and how you can use that so you can take that to the next level.
Of course, they are useful. Okay, and any tool of self-knowledge is useful. I don't want to repeat a truism that knowledge is power. This is a matter of fact. We don't need to debate that. But basically, I think we should also be aware that when we take a test, we are not just going to know ourselves, but rather to define our ideals about ourselves. So we make a choice between two or more answers. And basically, we already make a choice about what kind of personality we'd like to be. On the other hand, I'd like to
Andy, can I interrupt for 1 second? Actually, you are right. We are not going to know ourselves by taking a test. I think we're going to know or to find out what we don't know about ourselves. That's I think, in my opinion, that's really the point, to find out what we don't know, not what we know. Because obviously, I didn't know many things about myself and about. I was very, how to say, I was not as socially aware before I took the test and before I realized that, you know, I really have some issues that I need to learn and to fix about myself, and to understand that, you know, certain people that have different personalities than I do or we do, they need to be approached in a different way. So once I knew about, okay, what is the personality of a white? What is the personality of a blue, a red, and a yellow? Then I was able to, whenever okay, the funny thing is, the next thing I try to do is to try to look at all my close friends and all my circle of relationships and start, you know, characterizing. Okay, he's a blue, he's a yellow, he's a purple, he's a whatever, right?
Yeah.
But which wasn't such a bad thing, because I tried to speak or connect to them. For example, if he or she was a yellow or a white, I was trying to connect and speak to him or her from a white's point of view, or from a yellow's point of view, or something like that. And you know, it really started to make differences in my relationships and in my interactions with people. And I, all of a sudden, I realized that, you know, because of course, I knew that I was a red and a blue, and right away I start to understand the fact that, hey, I cannot expect everyone to understand my point of view of being, you know, a red and a blue. Not everybody has those types of strengths and limitations, like myself. Therefore, I need to be considerate of the strengths and limits of the other people that have completely different types of personalities. So this is how it helped me.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me, sorry for interrupting you, let me let you to continue with your, I just wanted to make an interjection there so that I don't forget and, yeah, so.
I don't want to minimize the benefit that the test brought for you or can bring for everybody. My approach is a little different. I am a little more of an anarchist, let me say, put it like that. So I am aware of the fact that in a certain way, when I define myself as blue or yellow or another box, you know, in a certain way, I also limiting myself and limiting my interaction with other people. And I'd also like to add another fact, which is, I think, very obvious. It's an obvious fact. It's a truism, what I say, that Facebook changed human nature. But the problem is that I think when I'm in the process of being hired by a company, my boss is going first of all to look at my Facebook page. And we all have a Facebook page. It's 2015. We have. We cannot help not having a Facebook account. And so we have friends on Facebook. We have conversations. We have posted pictures and made different statements on Facebook. And I believe that the best way to know a person is to look on his or her Facebook page, and if then already we have a picture of that person, because it's Facebook is the place where we reveal ourselves. We don't cancel ourselves for some reasons I don't understand. We tend to be more sincere on Facebook. And so I believe that whenever you fill out a test, there is also a Facebook, there is Google, and there are a lot of other tools of evaluating you might not be aware of. We know there was a scandal when Facebook ran a test and a personality, and they made some social engineering experiences and prediction based on that. And so here's the problem, and I understand, and I am all in favor with you that yes, it helps you know you better and interact better with other people. On the other hand, I think that we should be aware that we enter an age where we are like just under microscope, and we are being known better than we know ourselves. I am sure that Google knows me better than I know myself. This is the problem, you know, or Facebook or whatever entity playing God in this world. And so the dictum to know yourself is even more important, because if people outside myself know me better than I do, then I have a problem, because they are going to have power over myself, because knowledge is power. So I need to know myself, first of all, in order to defend myself. It's like in the movie Inception, you know? You need to have a security mechanism in your mind. And I believe that every business person, every politician, every single one of us, basically, needs to develop this kind of self-knowledge and self-security in his mind or her mind. Can you hear me still?
Yeah. So, sorry. So this
Yes.
goes back to my previous statement where I said that if anything, like you said, we should be in control. We should have the power over our
Yeah.
choices or decisions or what have you. Therefore, it is imperative that this kind of assessments and tests are being taught in a class rather than given for the first time by some company or human resource where you have no idea what you're doing and you want to, like you said, you want to expose yourself in a way that that you're trying to impress the others, but the next thing you know, they have control over you, and not only that, but you may have exposed all your limits and none of your strengths for that matter. And that is really the...
So just about answering questions that you think that you want people to know about you. I can speak from experience with employers in the States. When you apply for jobs, more specifically in the healthcare field, they give you a personality assessment test. And there's questions on there, like obvious questions that I've never stolen from an employer. If I was dishonest, I would come back and tell the truth. Things like that. Like things that common sense that even if you had done that, you're not going to tell them because you want to get the job. But then there's other questions that really make you think, like, well, there's like 3 options here and I fit 2 of them, but I can only pick one. So am I happy? Am I delighted? Or am I okay? Like, that would be obvious. I'm delighted. But it's just questions like that. It's like, what do I pick? And if I pick the wrong one, am I going to not get the job because I picked the wrong answer? But what answer is wrong? Because it's you. That's who you are. So I agree that we do change our answers sometimes just to let people see a different side of us that maybe sometimes we aren't.
Any other comments or opinions?
Is it ethical, do you think, to change your answers and to lie in order to get the job? Is it unethical to lie in order to get the job? If you think that you're able to do the job and you just want to earn money?
Okay, Eddie.
Just press it once then.
Okay.
Yeah, it's unethical to lie in order to get a job. The problem is that you cannot lie.
Okay, Eddie, I remember we often had this conversation before in other forums that as a human living in this world, it's often necessary to lie. Can you go on that again? And from the question that Ed asked us, can you sort of relate to, what is it ethical and what is it unethical to lie?
The problem is here because I believe that when it's about getting a good job, you don't ask yourself whether or not it's unethical to lie, but whether or not it's useful to lie. And I think it's not. Basically, it's a kind of pragmatic ethics or utilitarian ethics. Why? First of all, you cannot lie because, like I gave you that example, I lied once. Because I wanted just to look good, and they infer from here something bad about me, which was not true either. But you cannot lie because it's an expert. The questions are not, they are like oblique questions. So you give an answer, but they do not expect, basically, they are not interested in your answer as a kind of revealing, as a kind of what you reveal about yourself consciously. But they are looking for clues about what you reveal about yourself unconsciously by that answer. So they expect you to lie, of course, in order to get the job. But they want to see how are you going to lie. And of course, probably there is a question where if you don't lie, you think you're putting yourself in a very bad situation. But the question is framed in such a way that they want to see if you are sincere or you are lying, you are playing games. And so if they ask you a question which you are tempted to lie on it, and the question is framed in such a way that if you answer sincerely, you are going to put yourself in a bad position. But actually, they are going to see that you are sincere and you are not trying to cheat, you know? So I think basically you shouldn't lie in a test. You shouldn't lie in a test. Because you are going to come out as a liar. You are not going to fool them. It's much better to be yourself, and probably you should look for that job you fit into, and you are going to be as sincere as possible, and they will conclude that you fit into the culture of the job, because I'm not talking about amateurs here, we talk about experts, and people who have a lot of routine. Let me give an example of, I lived in a communist country, you know, all my life. And I had the opportunity to see my file, and the secret police file is like 1,000 pages, you know. So I didn't have time to read everything. But I was so surprised, you know. Imagine, since I was 21 years old, so many conversations, so many just statements I made, casual statements I made, have been written down and analyzed, and conclusion has been drawn from them. And this was being done on the span of like 30 years. And so they came out with some personality evaluation, which was very correct.
I was gonna say, Eddie, now that's a real personality assessment right there. So you're saying over the span, okay, so let me repeat this so everybody can get it clear. So you're saying that over the span of 30 years, the secret police has written down all sorts of things, casual and more not casual, about your life, right? And your discussions with your friends, your family, and your wife perhaps?
Yeah.
Wow, that's...
I had box even in my bedroom, so you see, everything.
Wow. Would they do that to everybody in that country, or just people that they...
No. I was a special case, okay?
Oh, okay.
Since I was in the military. And what I like to say is that I noticed they were professional, okay? They evaluated my personality better than I would have been able to do it, you know? Now, let me say something, that if I had some personality tests taken over and over again, okay, I would have come to know myself better in relationship with such kind of expertise, you know. I would have been more careful about what I say, what I do, you know. But it's not like I didn't know myself. Yes, I knew myself in a Socratic way, let me say, okay. I knew myself pretty well, but I didn't know how I was being analyzed through personality evaluation. It was the Romanians was very much like KGB, you know, they had the same. They had the KGB.
Eddie, you're breaking up.
Yeah.
Eddie, you're breaking up. So while the internet while the internet becomes more clear, let me hang on one second. We're still having issues. Let me go on to let's move this forum forward, and let's talk about, okay, now that we talked about assessments and how they're useful or not so useful, and how we can benefit from them. I do want to point out what Eddie was saying earlier, that if you lie, most likely they know that you're lying, but the problem is, if you lie on an assessment test, it's most likely that you are revealing your weakness and not your strengths. And that's not something you want to do, because eventually when you want people to know about yourself, you want them to know of your strengths, certainly not your limits. And if you're lying, it's almost impossible or very hard to actually reveal any of your strengths. So let's take that to the next level now. Let's look at how personality affects our emotions, and then how we draw values from our personality. I think that's very important. Eddie, I'm sure that you have come across many individuals in your life with very different personalities. And
Yeah.
how did emotions play a role? Okay, if you saw their emotions, what could you tell about their
Yeah,
personality?
Well, basically, our emotional life is shaped in our childhood. And it's very difficult to change the way we feel. What we can change is how we react to our own emotions, to not to be controlled by them. And so I rather divide people into classes, okay? I don't think that people are bad because they have bad emotions, they are good because they have good emotions. When we come in a certain critical situations, whenever we are being controlled by our emotions, we make big mistakes. So we need emotion, of course, because emotion means motivation. We are motivated by our emotions, and we go by instinct more than we think. And I believe that there are two kinds of people who are controlled by their emotions, and people who control their emotions. And they use their emotions, like let's say if you do, like in sailing for instance, a boat is sailing and is using the wind. It's not just going with the wind. I mean the sail is using the wind because it has a rudder and it's creating a vector with the wind and the rudder, so it sails wherever it wants to sail. And this is the same problem with us. We have to use our emotions as motivation, not to cripple them, not to repress them. I think it's a very, very big mistake to repress your emotions. No, you have to use them in order to motivate yourself. But if you cannot give a direction to your ego, using your emotion as a power, as a vector, but just being blindly led by your emotions, you are a catastrophe. Even emotions are good. So I don't judge people by their emotions, whether they are bad or good people, nice people, ugly people. No, no, no. It's about how people can not only control, but not in the sense of repressing their emotions, but using the full power of their emotions in order to direct their life in a way they choose to direct their life, not let their emotions make the choice.
Okay, any comments or questions or opinions?
Other than I agree, I mean, I think he has a similar way of thinking.
Okay,
You know,
so we agreed that emotions are important to help us function in a way or another. Although I think some people, they do try to use their emotions more in their favor than others. So in other words, some people rely heavily on their emotions to get their way. And okay, I don't mean to be sexist or anything, or genderist, or however you want to call me. But do you think that women generally, they try to use emotions in a little bit more of an advantage than men do? I mean, it's just a rhetorical question. I'm not saying that, okay, I'm not picking on women nor men. I'm just, go ahead.
I don't know. It's biological fact that women are more in relationship than men. Okay, but I mean this is not a weakness. This is a strength. I mean,
Right.
Because basically we enter a feminist age. I am aware of that. Because what happens? Women have been dispowered throughout the history, and have been repressed. This is a fact. I am not politically correct. It's a fact. And so, in our time, women are becoming free, at least in some countries. And they have, emotionally speaking, there is a difference between women and males like us. But we are, in our age, I think that we are increasingly relying on women wisdom, women emotional intelligence. Why? Because it seems to me that the sensitivity and the intuition is going to play an increasing role in the future. And so it's not about, I'm not sexist either. I'm sexist in a positive way here. I think it's about time that we men should learn from women too, you know?
Amen to that.
Yeah.
You know, just something that, as a teacher of management and OB, I always ask my students this question. I'm going to ask you the same question, Eddie. Do you know who makes better leaders and managers in recent times?
Women.
Go ahead.
I think
Yes, studies reveal that generally speaking, in a general, okay, so the best manager in the world is a man, okay? But generally speaking, and I'm not being sexist or anything, this is based on statistics and research and stuff like that. But generally speaking, over the entire population, women do make better managers. And you know, when most of my students, they sometimes say, no, men make better managers. But no, that's not true. Generally speaking, women make better managers. And it's because of the things that we're talking about. And emotions and emotional intelligence plays a big role in that. You cannot be a very efficient manager. Okay, so there are good managers. There are efficient managers. Good managers, when everything goes well and the economy is good, you know, it implies in a sense that they are good. But efficient managers, you see them when the economy is up and down and things are not going so smooth, and they can still maintain and keep going a company or a group and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's, any comments here? Come on, ladies, I'm sure you want to say something about yourselves, no? Okay, go ahead, Nike.
Okay, I always believe that our behaviors or our characters actually it will influenced by our environments. But here I ever read about the articles of psychological article, and it's stating that after we getting over than 27 or 27 or 25, our character physically will not change, so our emotions will become stable. But here when we're talking about emotions, and if we entering in a job environment, in a work environment, sometimes we cannot work basically, we cannot find the works which is basically fit with our characteristic. And is it possible for us, for those people who is basically they are not fit in their job, they can they becoming effective on their job or not? And how it affect our companies? How's your opinion about that?
Can you repeat that question for me, because I think I heard it, but I don't think I understood it.
So I believe what Nike is saying is that often there's an incompatibility among our emotional strengths and the fit of the company. So if that happens, how is that going to affect our job? I mean, should we continue with that particular job or be in a job where we experience that kind of situation among our incompatibilities?
I understand the question. No, I believe that emotional maturity means that you are able to fit into any kind of normal job. Let's say, okay, you're not going to be a comfort killer, or you understand what I mean, okay? But talking about normal jobs, normal jobs for normal people. I believe that emotional maturity means the ability to stand frustration, to put up with frustration. And everybody has frustrations in a workplace. This is a matter of fact. But a person who is not able to adjust emotionally into a certain work environment is not because emotions per se, but because emotional immaturity. I believe that this is the emotional infantilism, like, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that. Basically,